branches over on the other side.
Well, that's okay. That line, right? You saw the line right.
But the empanadas and again, a pivot and a recommendation.
Whatever it is, it's just
As it turned out, the last person was just getting their food as the show started.
I did, and I didn't finish. I felt bad. I didn't finish my food because I turned around to watch, and I had to leave right away.
We'll take all comments, but again, it's there's a control issue. Whose show is it?
Right, it's a unique venue.
Yes. Because I guess I'm going back soon.
I mean, I knew he was a
All
punk,
right,
but
sounds good. Did you win?
punk rock was the theme. He got a band.
Nervous who? Wait, what was it?
Nervous Nancy and the
Chill
pills.
chill pill.
Ready? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to
Morning,
the
Glenn.
committee meetings. John Hayes, are you on the line up there? If not, I'll ask Mike Stershik, our vice chairman, to chair the finance committee. Mike, that's all yours.
Call the meeting to order. Sylvette, would you please call the roll?
John Hayes, Paul Anthony,
I'm here.
Ann Baum,
She's up there.
Who's there?
Robert Brooks,
Here.
Ricky Gower, Kevin Lott, Mike Stershik,
Here.
a quorum.
Have any public comment?
Not this time.
Okay. You should have all seen the minutes on the portal. Any amendments or corrections to the minutes? Any comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept. Bob, second? Somebody, please.
Oh, second.
Well,
get my notes ready for Todd, that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Todd, turn it over to you for the finance report.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone.
Good New Year, Todd.
Always start off with traffic, and in case you didn't hear, we had our best year on record last year with a little over 1,067,000. So
Nice job.
I think we should all take an applause for that. Best ever on record for total traffic. So that's not just the board, the staff, everyone contributed to what turned out to be a really good year for us. Kind of see what's going on. December was actually our best December on record, beating out last year's December. This kind of gives you a little bit more detail of where it is. Total traffic up there, you can see that over there on that side there. Number 1, aircraft traffic, number 5, and obviously bus traffic, number 1. You can see the decline there in the United bus with them out in September. Comparing all airports, you can see our throughput is a little bit higher than that, and our seats are down some, but obviously our seats do not include the bus. So it's kind of an apples and oranges there. Throughput does include the bus because we go through the checkpoint. Seats, however, do not. So if we count the seats, we'd probably be pretty close to all airports there. Then looking at us compared to our peers, we kind of stay in that middle tier, even though the ones above us are doing slightly better, but you see the average there. Seats are actually down on the average, and throughput is not even at 1%. But you can see kind of what's going on down at the bottom there, why some of those ones are at the top. Wilkes-Barre has the Breeze and Landline, Frontier, and some of the other things are going on some of the Start off in November, since we didn't meet. November, we had a good month. You can see overall net income was almost 420K. So that was a good month compared to, even compared to last year. And again, overall expenses were a lot less than what we had budgeted, which contributed to a pretty good month. And then for the month of December, these are preliminary. Now this is where it gets a little dicey because the 2024 numbers are the finalized numbers after our audit. So those include like the pension adjustment and all those things in there. Obviously, we haven't gotten to those yet, but our pension, our assumed rate of return is 7.25. Our preliminary returns were about 14.2. So that should be a positive gain on that number there. So that should be something that helps those numbers once they're finalized. Once we get them finalized, they usually finalize the December usually in around mid-March. And we'll let you know what those final numbers are. But the bigger numbers, those are the numbers that we need a little bit more time with the actuaries and stuff there. Did you have a question? Oh, okay.
I always look like I got a question.
There you go. And then looking at where we ended up, again, preliminary for the year. Last year, in case you forgot, was even without CARES, was our best net income that we've had on record. You know, when you factor in all things all together, even without the CARES, so that was good stuff. This year, coming in slightly below that, but again, you can see the expenses are up and some of our infrastructure, you can see it there on the depreciation line and on the expenses. We are watching that as we go into 2026, because we did have some rather heated discussions with the airlines about our rates being a little high. Our rates are high. And at the end of the day, it's great that we run well, but if nobody pays for our stuff, we're in trouble. So we're working on that, but
Just one question on that, the rates.
Yes.
Are they high compared to our peers?
yes.
In our peer group?
And if you remember when we did our peers, it's a lot of it based on the number of employees or FTEs that we have versus everybody. We do a lot of stuff in-house, and we don't get the same subsidies that other folks get from some of the
Okay, I
other
just
folks. So
Want to make sure.
it makes our cost high. I mean, we do what we can, but it is a balancing act. So, you know, they're never happy, especially if they see we got a little bit more cash than they like. But we're managing that relationship along the way. But we just want to keep you posted on that. Yeah.
Todd, how much of that 6% decrease over year versus budget is personnel versus other
And
categories?
I'll show that a little bit. I have that slide. But that's a great question. Because that's one of the questions they've asked us. Why do you have all these employees? And everybody else doesn't have. That's the number one question they've asked us. We said, well, we need them. We do a good job. And at the end of the day, they don't care about a good job. They want to pay a lot of money.
And we employ more functions than the others.
They can't, yeah, but at the end of the day, they don't want to pay for it. So you got to balance it out. So, you know, it's a discussion. I mean, we understand we do a great job around here. We have great employees. We can make sure they understand that. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that they don't feel too unhappy. It's a balancing act. Darren will tell you, we got to keep them somewhere in the middle. As we're doing this, I do want to acknowledge, I mean, this is bless you.
Thank you.
All the hard work. I mean, we're in the snow season. We're expecting a huge snowstorm come this weekend. Acknowledge Steve and his team for being out there, dealing with the elements, and they'll be out there working hard. How many events have we had so far, Steve?
About 8 events.
8 already, and we're still early, so those guys are working hard with the sub-zero temperatures. Connie's folks out there de-icing, so we appreciate everyone's efforts in the elements, keeping the airport running and safe. So we all want to acknowledge the hard work of all those folks. So thank you all.
How much does 2 feet of snow cost us?
A lot.
A real lot.
What costs more than 1-2 foot snowfall or what happened last weekend where you get
It's
2
probably
inches on
more
Saturday,
the other
2
one.
inches later
It's-
Saturday?
It's more the
It
continuous stuff.
depends on
that's
the
hard.
type of snow,
Yeah,
dry
that's
snow
true.
versus
That's
wet.
true.
It depends on, timing, some of this
Sound
stuff,
like the
but
weatherman.
it's hard, if you have to clear a surface and then come back and clear it again, it's a lot of time to
Right.
do all of that surface area versus a one storm kind of one event. Even if it's significant, you
Right.
can move it off, and
That's why I would think like last weekend was more of a,
that was expensive.
probably a rough start.
Yeah,
And
like
this,
three-
then,
like
then
three
if we get 10
episodes.
inches this weekend, but last weekend we got 5, but we got it over
Yeah.
48 hours instead of 12 hours.
Right.
I mean, it
Yeah,
costs
'cause
us more.
again, we're maintaining.
They had to come to us multiple times,
We're maintaining a lot of these surfaces to no worse than wet, so as soon as you get even a little bit of accumulation, you're constantly on it. So that's the hard part.
Like even at home, I mean, if it's gonna snow 2 feet, I gotta go out there and remove it like every 5 inches.
Well, we're
right?
constantly on
Yeah.
the runway and the taxiways and the aprons and, just keeping it clean. And once you make a pass, you go back and make another pass because it's covered again. So,
Good. We just want to acknowledge all their hard work because They do, most of them do it thanklessly, and we want to make sure they know we appreciate their hard work. Hey, John. John's here, and Ann's there, so we're acknowledging the folks that are online. All righty.
I think John was trying to speak.
Oh, was he trying to speak
Yeah,
there?
there's no
Tibet?
audio.
I think he's muted. He's
Can't
talking.
hear you,
No,
John.
he's not muted.
We can't hear you, John.
No,
I want to log out and log back in,
we
maybe.
can lip read.
Oh, there he goes.
Ann says she can hear him.
You can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We got you now.
You can.
I think Jonathan's online too. I'm assuming we can hear Jonathan as well.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Jonathan Strauss.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I assume he just logged off to log back
Yeah, I
on.
think we should.
He's coming back.
Give him a minute. And then pick this up. He's back. Hopefully we can hear him now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead, John.
Sounds good. Question I wanted to ask was a follow-up on the wet pavement approach that we have to take. Does that evolve at all, Tom, if we're not expecting any inbound or outbound traffic given weather? Do we have any flexibility, or do we need to keep it wet pavement even if everything's on the ground?
So part of the challenge is letting it accumulate and what that means to remove it later. Typically, even if we have a lot of cancellations on the passenger side, you might have cargo still operating. And occasionally even our corporate activity can be part of that equation too, people wanting to get in and out. So our goal is typically, as long as it's safe to do snow removal, we're going to do that in order to maintain surfaces and keep at least one runway open and active. Because flights that you think were canceled or diversions or other things that might show up is always a factor for us. And who knows how that's going to affect landline. So we got to keep paths for them available as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. And the profit centers is kind of breaking it down. Again, our top one where most of our revenue comes from is parking, aviation lease, CARES, which obviously is going away for this year. And you can kind of see down at the bottom, the subsidies that we do already give to the airlines. That's why they are in there in the negatives there. And this back to Michael's question about the breakdown of the variances. The biggest variance is on employee benefits, and that is, the benefits, because again, we make certain assumptions as far as who's going to be a family, who's going to be, so if we get more singles, and even though we've covered the hours with overtime and extra hours for the part-time folks, you don't have some of the benefit costs on that. So that's a big part of it. And we had some of that variances in it. And you can see some of the extraordinary revenue that we got from some of our de-icing earlier in the year. Interest, we made some conservative assumptions on the interest. So you start breaking it down, there's a lot of things that, and one of the big ones on employee benefits that I didn't really mention is, well, self-insured, and we get the rebate in the following year. So when we did our budget last year, we only had information through July. And we were running, I think we only had like a $50,000 surplus at that point, which we put in. But that number came in higher, that obviously helped us here, but we didn't know that at that time. So we put in what we know at the time. A lot of our stuff is somewhat conservative as far as assumptions of who's going to take full coverage, as far as family. But if we get all singles, it's obviously cheaper than all families. But again, you don't know, and with some of the turnover, you never know that. And you can see it out at the bottom, you can really see it down there. Even though employee benefits is number one, look at number 10. So even though you save a lot of money in employee benefits, that money that you saved on salaries went other places, overtime, even though you didn't hire the people, you gave them overtime, or you gave more hours to part-time folks. So the money still went out, it just didn't go to full-time employees.
What is our turnover rate? Do we know?
Our turnover, it depends on the department, and some of the departments turn over pretty quickly. I mean, your departments that are outside, they tend to turn over pretty much.
Understood.
They have almost over 100% turnover over a period, but the ones that are inside, especially this time of year, last week, you know, ooh, I like working at the airport. So you go out in that tarmac and it's cold out there. But we have some good core folks that are here, but we do have some folks that come and go. So it's probably about 20%, I would say, that are constantly turning. And then we have kind of a core, maybe 80, 75, 80% that's here. And then the other ones are just constantly turning over. But the people that have been here, they understand the weather, they understand the elements. But if you're new and you're like, the airport seems like a good place, I'll be outside, you gotta get used to it. And some people like it and some people don't. Did I answer your question?
You did, thank you.
And this is just breaking down, again, these are preliminary, really personnel, non-personnel budget. We gave ourselves some of that flexibility. That's some of the things we talked about with some of the employee benefits, which is a big part of that. But we're still up 5%, which is part of the arguments that we have with the airlines. Why are those costs going up? Even though they're not as high as budget, they're still higher than they like. And then the non-personnel, a lot of that, and some of the demolition and some of the things we talked about, but still not all the way at budget, not as much cushion as we had on the personnel. And this kind of talks about, this is kind of highlights what I was saying earlier. You know, you see the full-time employees there, and the part-time employees, we had 350 total. Actual is 302, but if you look at the hours, which is the full-time equivalents, they're really close. So you covered the hours somewhere, even though you had less people doing it. So, you know, your full-time people and your part-time people worked more hours than you had budgeted. That's why you had less people. So the hours are still covered. They're just covered by the people that were here. And this just breaks it down by employees, by department. And then this is our 6-month cash flow. You can see here the one that we did make an adjustment on. We had some minor changes with some of the debt service with the new custodian. We've been going back and forth with them, and there was some adjustments. We told them the number should have been higher. They said no, 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 and then finally they said you were right. We had to add it back in. So we're good. It was like 50,000 that they said, hey, you need extra 50. We told them that, but they didn't listen to us. The new guy, same one that didn't listen when we did the settlement, but that's another story. And this is just kind of breaking down. You can always see that the ebbs and flows, which really impacts our cash, are the capital, which, you know, if it changes a little bit from month to month, that's a pretty significant jump in our cash flow because these are pretty high cost items. And same thing with the receipts. They're big cost items or big dollar amounts, but if they fluctuate, that really impacts your cash from month to month. And then the restricted, that's just releasing some of that money from restricted to kind of go all the way through. You can see our new days cash on hand, which is not quite 79,000 for the 2026 budget. You see the ebbs and flows based on some of the things that we have as far as capital. And this is just our peers. We only have 2024. Usually we get 2020, the previous years, usually around mid-year. So once we have that, we'll update that. So that we use a good situation. So at the end, and this is at the end of that year. So if you go at the very bottom there, you can see at the end of 2019, we had just a little bit less than $11 million of unrestricted cash. And our cost per day was about 60, that was the actual cost, was about $60,000. Then we went to COVID, obviously our costs come down because we had to cut back on a lot of things, the hours were cut and some of that stuff. And then we've been slowly kind of going back up to kind of get us back up to our previous level. But you can see that we did turn lemons into lemonade. So that's why we have more cash, and obviously we're in a position to maintain that cash. Because one of the things you do see with this here is, you know, an unusual situation when we got operational grants and we took advantage of it. But it takes a while to build up your cash. So if it gets low, you don't build it up in a year. So once we have it, we want to have enough to kind of have some cushion for some of these peaks and valleys, and hopefully that'll help us as we move forward. All right, any questions? All right, nobody fell asleep, so I guess I did a good thing. All right, thanks.
Can I have a motion to accept the November and preliminary December financial statements? Paul? Bob, second? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Do we have a need for any new business? Anybody? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Bob? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Dawn?
Thank you. Welcome to the January 22nd Business Committee meeting. So that can you please call the roll?
Don Butchow,
Here.
Justin Grimshaw,
Here.
James Irwin,
Here.
Frank Fasciano,
Here.
Kevin Surface,
Here.
Jonathan Strauss, Chris Worley, Bill Corum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
At this time,
We have two action items. The first is the approval of the meeting minutes from November 24th. Can I, Justin? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the approval of the FAA grant amendment from Ryan.
John, good morning, everybody. So we're looking to approve a contract amendment to H&K Group for the above reference grant. Just kind of taking a step back, as I know we've talked about in previous committees, we really try and allocate all of our FAA funds that we get to our projects. And we work really closely with the FAA and a lot of these multi-phase, multi-year programs. We talked about previously runway 624 was one, and now we're on to the next multi-year program, which is Taxiway Alpha. So the FAA was actually able to find us some additional discretionary money, which we want to allocate to Taxiway Alpha. If you scroll down a little bit, it is included in the budget because we already have the grant funds available. You can see in red is the original contract given to H&K, which is the 8.1 million. A little hard to see on the screen, but we're looking to add the little green section for 1.8 million to their contract within the grant amount. Again, they're looking to do this coming in the spring, so now it's kind of the perfect time to get things moving, ready to go. But you can see the area that they'll be in to just continue, again, to allocate the grant funds that we have to that portion. And again, the FAA has worked with us based on timing and other things that make sense to allocate it to this grant. So if you scroll down a little, so that, yeah, I mentioned we're looking to start in the spring. Again, get everything in place. So we're looking to approve the contract amendment to H&K as presented in the amount of $1,889,822.50.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions? Hearing none?
I have a question on that. So you're adding to what's already happening there? What they already bid?
So we're,
So that's what I'm asking. Are you is that more, that's not the original bid then, right? You're adding work into that?
so when we did originally bid, we did base bid, add alternate. So we have different packages, which we originally didn't award based on the funding that we had at the time allocated to it. Since we got some additional funding for the FAA, we're allocating it to that. So it's a contract amendment or it's an add, but it is something they originally bid at time of bid.
Well, so I have a question on that. If we would have took the alternate originally, would the H&K Group still been a little better?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the FAA grant amendment. Kevin and Frank, thank you. All right, is there, all right, I'm sorry, is all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed. All right, are there any discussion items? All right, Ryan's gonna take us through the capital projects update.
Great. All right, thank you. Go through this quick, since again, with the weather outside, we're in winter shutdown for most of our projects, but kind of get into some of the timing here in a minute as we've talked about finalizing 624, Taxiway Alpha, and then Taxiway Delta. 624, again, we're in winter shutdown. They've done a little bit of cleanup when they can, but the next big thing for this obviously is grading in that area in purple or blue, and then also waiting on the FAA to do a flight check for our PAPIs, which is our visual cue for pilots coming in for landing. So looking to get that in the next few months, working through the FAA. They were a little bit behind with the shutdown with that group. So working on that. This, as we talked about, package 6 is really going to start more in the fall. So more to come on that. Taxiway Alpha, again, as we've talked about, so the west portion of the rehab has been completed. As we just talked about, the next section they'll be doing in the spring. So again, more to come there. In terms of the next phase of Alpha, again, that'll be after everything we just looked at. So that'll be in the fall as well. But that's the far east end of Taxiway Alpha. So I'm just kind of sitting and waiting with the weather. Cargo, again, I mentioned Taxiway Delta. In terms of timing, over the break or the holiday, FHWA, we've been coordinating with them. They sent us a revised agreement based on some revisions they had. We sent it back to them, so it's going, through the process again with the review, recirculating with their team. Parking structure, we've had some meetings again over the last 2 months. By the end of this month, we're looking to get the 90% design in for our review, continually having weekly, bi-weekly meetings. And then again, over the break, mid-December, we did submit to the Conservation District, so getting that process going, which again takes some time. So more to come on that, but we're continuing to move forward there as well.
Mention anything about the equipment?
So we can mention it now. So as part of the garage and prior to, Todd was kind of mentioning, we've been talking a little bit about the new equipment in the garage, but then also transitioning some of our existing equipment. So we're kind of looking to see what makes sense to do that, and then coordinating in terms of what is included in the budget, timing. So if there's anything else you want to.
I think, the equipment when you enter the garage, the gates and all that. So right now we're using mag stripes. We want that transition to be seamless when we do it in the garage, maybe reservation, some of that. So we might switch our equipment, and there might be some economy of scales of doing it. Some of our other stuff, because obviously we want one system across the airport, so it's seamless. But we might have to do an amendment later to kind of get that started. So we're looking into that process. Just wanted to give you a heads up that there might be because that's not in our capital budget for parking equipment, but we might be doing that earlier, starting this year. And we just wanted to give you a heads up. What we did last year, and I didn't mention it, and that was built into the Decembers, we wrote off all of our old equipment as of the end of last year. So it has no book value at this point. Even though we're still using it, it's not on our books. It's just, we're not sure what that transition process is gonna look like. But the mag stripes, we're getting a lot of these invalid tickets, and it's really hurting the customer experience, and we want that to kind of improve. So we're looking at that now. As we get more details, we'll let you know. But we just wanted to know that might be an upcoming amendment where, because that was not in our original capital program, some of that. So I just wanted to mention it. I'm sorry.
So no, it's a good update. Government building demolition, that project's been completed, so we'll put it on here just kind of as reference. Get that off the list. The employee lot 2 area, again, since the last meeting, we did pave kind of that additional section where the government building used to be, added about 58 spots for our employees, which was needed. The only thing in the spring, we'll have to come back and do final striping, but you can see kind of the area that was added. And then they're currently working on a lot of the electrical components and lighting as well, again, when they can around the weather. So again, all the new conduits, they got to go in place, and the lighting. So, this weekend might slow them down a little bit, but they're still doing what they can. This next one, really looking to kick off in the next couple of months. We talked a little bit about it before, but it's really call it the entrance road realignment, but it's really removing that old economy booth that's not used anymore, realigning the roadways for the hotel entrance, as well as in our overflow lot, putting in new lighting, again, striping, just making it more accessible for folks going to the hotel, as well as our employees and the Transbridge parking that kind of goes in that area. So really just working through project schedule submission, submittals as well, but that's about a 3-month duration project that we're looking to kick off once as we can, probably late February, early March, because a lot of it is utility work, which they can do in a little bit colder temperatures than when they're paving and ripping up dirt. Relocation of the IT offices, again, we talked about this last year, but they have started that work with the demolition. Looking to do some of the insulation and drywall next week. Metal framing's ongoing. Kind of see they're actually working pretty quick. It's a smaller area, but that's going pretty well so far. And again, that's about a 2-month project duration as well. And moving on to Braden, again, we've talked about previously, really working through the final submittals, and then we'll probably have one final coordination meeting prior to them starting in the spring. As we may have talked about last year, we were looking based on the weather to start last fall. Didn't actually work out, so we're just going to start in the spring rather than starting again. Since that one again is only about a month-long project, it's really not too large. We just want to do it in one fell swoop. Again, I mentioned at our last meeting, the projects in gray we were tracking because we hadn't received the grant funding yet. Over the break, we did receive those, so I kind of just marked them as received. They'll come off next month, again, based on the completions. And again, we were holding them just for that final amount. And then those actually kind of show there the actual numbers. So those actually came in under budget for the 3 at Queen City for the lighting, the vault, and then that taxiway alpha feasibility study. I think that's it. Happy to answer any questions.
It looks like there's a hotel going up next door.
There is.
Is there any update on that, or?
Do you want to?
I mean, construction is going well.
Yeah.
Roof is going on now, so it should be under roof soon. I think they're hoping to have it totally watertight by the end of February. So it's moving right along. So far, it's in smooth sailing.
Months since I've been out here, but.
Yeah, you can really see it now. It really stands out these days. So.
Sure does stand out.
Okay, just a
Doesn't
follow-up
seem to
question
scale.
that it is on schedule then?
That location, it doesn't, yeah.
It doesn't seem to scale, you know, our terminal here seems so small compared to the hotel.
John,
I think someone online said something.
John.
Yeah, Darren, I just wanted to follow up on that. The construction on the hotel is on schedule then? There haven't been any delays?
No delays at all as of this point. They're on schedule.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep.
any other questions? Is there any new business?
I have some new business. I would say, you know, we talked about an RCO. I know we tabled it, but I would like the business committee to look into a PLA for the parking deck. So whatever we have to do to possibly put a PLA on that project, I'd like that to start through this committee.
We can start looking into it. I honestly don't even know what a PLA is, so
Project labor.
just go there first. Okay.
It's a project labor agreement is what it stands for.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other new business?
Jim, if I could ask a clarifying question on the PLA. I don't have a lot of experience with them. Are PLAs designed where you have potential labor strife, or what's your thought process behind wanting to put one in place?
I would like to see it done on time and under budget, and I'd like to see, you know, something put in place. I know we talked about different things with the construction that's happened here before. So I think a project labor agreement is probably the best way to ensure that that will happen.
Okay, look forward to the conversation. It's not something I'm terribly familiar with, so curious to hear more. Thank you.
Question on the administration of the parking garage. Are we gonna hire an owner's rep for that, or how are we planning on administrating that?
We're still working through the logistics, but more than likely, yeah, we'll have, which we have had in the past, an owner's rep, but tailoring it a little differently given the multi-prime scenario that we're managing more of it versus the GC, which has been kind of the conversations we've had in the past. So we're evaluating those things now too.
So multi-prime contract, no CM on.
There would be, but it would be through us. The CM, like the owner's rep, CM would be through.
Oh, you do, okay, I see what
Yeah,
you're
so
saying.
it's a little little different than like the design build scenario, but we'd have, we'll get into this obviously as we get the different packages, because we're talking about now, how do we structure it? Is it one big bid package?
Yeah.
Is it different components of the site work first? Because that's gonna take almost a year and a half, and then the other trades. So we're looking at that now, but basically, from what we've talked about previously with the Separations Act, all of the primes have to be contracted through us, and then we allocate, okay, who's our representative that's coordinating with those primes. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Is there anything else? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Jessica, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Beth, would you call the roll for the executive committee, please?
Glenn Reedman,
Present.
Mike Stershik,
Here.
Frank Fasciano,
Here?
John Hayes,
Here.
Paul Anthony,
Here.
Bill Quorum,
Any public comment?
not at this time.
Okay, we'll take a motion for approval of the minutes of the November 24th meeting. Mike has, and Frank has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We will move to the invoices for the Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt, Capelli, and Tipton, our solicitors, for November 2025 and December 2025. Motion from Mike, second Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Committee have any new business? Madam Solicitor, executive session?
Any word on egregious stormwater tax since it's after the election?
Yeah, not.
All right,
Yeah, I'll double check too.
9 a.m. Tuesday?